What up, though, my yarn and tea crew, and welcome back to my channel. And if it's your first time, just welcome. Here we mix the cozy world of crochet with the thrill of true crime. So whether you're here to learn a stitch or a pattern from me, you need to know how to make that dress, or you just need some tea and a good story, I got you covered either way. Like, comment, and subscribe. We jumping right back into the chilly city of Michigan. And today, I got 5 cold cases that have never been solved. So this should be a really, really good one. First case up is going to be Bernice Onisco. Now, this dates all the way back to March 7th, 1937, in the city of Hamtramck. Bernice was 17 years old, and she was seen leaving by her family. When she didn't return home, her mother is the person who reported her missing. She was a very quiet church girl. She had just graduated from St. Ladislaus High School, and she wanted to become a typist. The school used to be located on Kniff Street, but it closed down in 1981. Her body was discovered later in a secluded area near Detroit, and despite thorough investigations, the exact circumstances of her disappearance and death remained unclear. Days after her murder, Onisco's mother received an anonymous handwritten letter, and it said, "When you get this, I will be out of the state. What can I say? Just amen." A fingerprint was lifted from the letter, but no arrest was ever made. No one has been charged or convicted in connection with her case, which leaves this another unsolved mystery. The second case up is going to be Carla Tucker. Now, Carla Tucker was reported missing from Detroit's east side by her mother on June 19th, 1979. She was a spelling bee champion. She had 4 siblings, and she was 14 years old. She left her home on Elmwood Street and she was headed to the grocery store. When Carla didn't return home, she was reported missing by her mother. Now, when she first went missing, her parents hired a private investigator, but after 2 years of searching, nothing came up. The crime preceded the days of Amber Alerts and DNA testing. Carla's body was eventually found 13 years later on February 11th, 1992. And it was found in the Matlin Road landfill in Carlton Township. She was later identified by DNA on file through family members. Carla was strangled, assaulted, and left in a 55-gallon drum encased in concrete. Authorities have no clues about how she was abducted, leaving it yet another unsolved mystery. And anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers of Michigan at 1-800-SPEAK-UP.
Dating back to 1979, a 14-year-old girl from Detroit disappears. Her body, years later, found in a landfill in Monroe County. Tonight, the police are desperate for clues after all this time. Fox News' Erica Erickson has the update.
She'd be about 50 years old now, but back in December of 1978, Carla Tucker of Detroit was a smiling 14-year-old girl. Her family not knowing that would be the last Christmas they'd spend with her.
You not only killed my daughter, but you killed my family.
Although it's been 36 years, Carla's family says Tuesday they need answers.
You never stop searching. You never move past this.
Reporting the teen missing in June of 1979, last seen on Elmwood near Gratiot on Detroit's east side. Carla's body found 13 years later, sexually assaulted and strangled. Her body found inside a 55-gallon drum encased in concrete in a landfill near Monroe.
How dare you? How could you do something so scandalous and so evil to a human being?
This is where Carla's brother says that corner store used to be, where he watched from their apartment window. He watched her leave, turn left, and he says that was the last time he saw her alive.
After so long, you sort of, in the back of your head, well, what if? You know, not wanting to believe, but what if?
Although Carla's body was found in 1992, her remains that of a 14 to 16-year-old, unidentified until 2012. Her family says it was DNA evidence that allowed them to finally give her a gravesite.
She was loved. She was discarded as though she had no one, but she does. And her life means everything to someone, to many people.
Now, as a $2,500 reward is being offered Tuesday, another $1,000 if that tip comes into Crime Stoppers before midnight. This family hoping they don't have to spend another Christmas wondering what happened to this little girl.
Turn yourself in and ask God to forgive you for what you've done to me and my family.
On Detroit's East Side, Erica Erickson, Fox 2 News.
Our third case today is going to be Marcus Rutledge. Marcus Rutledge has been missing since June 8th, 1998, and he was 23 years old at the time. Growing up, Marcus took part in his fair share of activities. He was in the band, he loved playing instruments, he played football, he played soccer, and he really enjoyed reading, according to his family. Like both of his parents and his sister, Marcus enrolled at Tennessee State University. And after the siblings would spend a couple of years on campus together in Nashville, Felicia, which is his sister's name, she would move back home to Michigan. But she stayed in touch, calling her brother on his head to make sure that he wasn't at that HBCU losing his mind. It's hard to stay focused on your studies, being surrounded by all those beautiful women, and it's the sororities and the fraternities. HBCU life is different, y'all. So during this time, Marcus would develop a crush on campus and started dating a girl named Valencia Bryant. And the campus romance quickly turned serious, and just months into the relationship, Valencia became pregnant, but they was both only 18 at this time. So Marcus was very nervous. He had a standard to uphold, and he came from a family that did not play. So he was very nervous about disappointing his parents, and he waited to tell them. And in fact, he didn't tell them until the baby was actually born. The baby name was Darius. During this time, Valencia left school and she moved back home to Knoxville so her parents could help out more with the baby. And Marcus stayed at TSU, and he would just travel back and forth, trying to be the best father that he could. By June of 1998, Darius's fourth birthday was just a month away. And Valencia and Marcus had took Darius to the zoo. And there they made plans to throw a big carnival-themed birthday party. They was going to get the rides, the clown. They was going to go all out for the theme. But also by this point, Valencia and Marcus were no longer together, but they were co-parenting. He actually had a new girlfriend, and her name was Tawana. And on June 8th of 1998, Marcus left Tawana a voicemail telling her to call him back. When she attempted to call him back, she didn't get an answer. She felt like something was off because they had plans earlier, that day. So she started calling his parents, trying to figure out, what's going on, notifying them in Michigan, which would make them start calling. While everybody was calling, Tawana decided that she was going to head on over to his home, and that was on Parkdale Drive in Nashville. Now, it's important to note that she wasn't alone. She was actually with Ethan Gibbs, and that used to be Marcus's best friend and former roommate prior to him living at this home on Parkdale Drive. So a little prior to him having his home, Marcus confided in his father, and he pretty much told him he had planned on moving out. Ethan wasn't keeping up his end of the deal. Like, he was messy, he wasn't keeping the house tidy, and he wasn't getting ready to deal with that. So he decided he was just going to leave. Ethan and Tawana got inside of Marcus's house through the window. And although nothing looked out of place or indicated that he had planned to leave for a long period of time, she had found the dog locked in the bathroom. There was no food, there was no water, excluding the toilet bowl, and he had digested half of the floor mat. So according to his family, that was completely out of his character. He would have never left his dog trapped in there. Also, his four-door 1995 Neon, it was missing. It was a Plymouth Neon. And the family called the police fearing that, Marcus might have been in an accident at this point, and he could have been stranded on the side of the road somewhere. As the hours turned into days and days turned into weeks, it became apparent that that wasn't the case. About a month later, Marcus Rutledge's 95 Neon was found abandoned at Riverwood Apartments at 7388 Cabot Drive in West Nashville, which was about 20 miles from his duplex. Although the police found his car there, it still was no sign of Marcus or his whereabouts. They did, however, find a gun, but that just left more unanswered questions because was it his? Was it for protection? And if so, then from who? And so then something else sinister would happen, which would teeter the case a little bit. In February of 1999, Ethan Gibbs was murdered. He opened his door and he was shot. That was literally the case. So remember, this was also the same friend who helped Marcus' girlfriend Tawana get into his apartment that day that he went missing. Now, Ethan was dead just 8 months later after Marcus disappeared. David Rutledge, who was his father, stated that the roommate Ethan never felt comfortable around them after his disappearance. He said he was always sweating, a lot of sweat dripping from his forehead, and he always seemed very uncomfortable. He said that he wished he had been more forceful in asking Ethan what he really knew, but if Ethan knew anything, that information was now buried with him. In 2020, Detective Filter took over as lead investigator. And at this point, Marcus Rutledge had been missing for 22 years. And through his investigation, he confirmed that Marcus did have a few secrets he was keeping from his family. He was telling his family that he was a senior at Tennessee State University, but he was not. He was no longer enrolled. He also had another child, a daughter with the girlfriend Tawana, and she was 2 years old at the time that he went missing. Anybody with information about Marcus's disappearance is asked to call the Metro Nashville Police Department Cold Case Unit at 615-862-7329. Our fourth case today is going to be a trio, the Skelton brothers. Andrew was 9, Alexander was 7, and Tanner was 5. And they disappeared from Morenci, Michigan in 2010. They were last seen with their father, John Skelton. Now, the father had spent time with the boys for the Thanksgiving holiday during an ongoing divorce and a custody battle with their mother, who was Tanya Zuffers. He was supposed to return them to the mother on Black Friday, which would have been November 26, 2010. The police said that John Skelton's phone could be traced leaving his Morenci home and traveling 25 miles southwest into Holiday City, Ohio. And then he returned home to Morenci. He claimed that he gave the boys to an underground organization to keep them safe from his mother. Now, they said this was the year 2010, so I just want y'all to know, if it was my 3 sons, it wouldn't have been until the year 2013 that they would have been able to get me off this man. Okay. So he alleges that the reason that he did that was because Tanya had been abusing the boys. And of course, she denies the allegation. Now, before we go any further, I just want to note that in 1998, Miss Tanya Zuffers was charged with 4th-degree criminal misconduct for having relations with a 14-year-old boy. Okay. We're going to leave that right there. Now, John, who was a long-haul truck driver, he had told the police he handed his children off to a woman named Joanne Taylor. He said he did not know her, but they met when he had car trouble on the side of the road. He also gave them another story and claimed they were given to an underground sanctuary to protect them from their mother. So, of course, officials didn't believe any of the madness. They charged him with child abandonment. The court documents allege that John actually searched online about how to break a neck a week prior to his sons even vanishing. John pleaded no contest in the 3 counts of unlawful imprisonment in September 2011. He was sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison, and he is scheduled to be released in November of 2025. That would drive me nuts. These boys went missing in 2010, and he getting ready to come out like this upcoming year, and he the only person walking this earth who know the truth. Like, I can't imagine. But shockingly, in December of 2023, Tanya Zuffers filed in Lenawee County Probate Court, and she actually requested that her sons, Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner Skelton, to be officially declared dead. The court has scheduled hearings, and on December 16, 2024, they're going to consider the petition. The boys have never been located, and their fate still remains unknown. The case sparked extensive searches and investigations, but sadly, the mystery of what happened to the Skelton brothers continues to this day. It is a puzzling and tragic story, and it has left so many questions unanswered. Our 5th and final case today is going to be David Darnell Carter. He was 39 years old, and he was described as one of the good guys. He was ambitious, a hard worker, and he found time to even volunteer as coach with Melvindale Junior Football League. He had a son named DJ that he adored, and he had a really, really good relationship with his mom. Her name was Samia Connor. Now, they weren't together, but they did co-parent very well. In March of 2018, David would reunite with a friend from high school. They had seen each other at a party. Her name was Tammy Williams, and they would end up dating for about 6 months. Tammy had a career as a phlebotomist, and she worked as a travel agent. Tammy also had 2 kids of her own, so they were living as a blended family at the time. But apparently the family wasn't too happy. And it was said that Tammy grew envious of anybody who would try to talk to David that was a woman, and she really didn't want to let him out of her sight. Now, according to his sister, she believed that David was in the midst of breaking up with Tammy. And September 28th, the family saw David with Tammy at DJ's football game, but it looked like they was into it because they didn't even sit together. So on September 30th, David was supposed to go to work and get paid triple time. And he was also supposed to see his son DJ. However, he didn't go to work. And DJ and his mother received a text message basically saying like he wasn't feeling good, so he wouldn't be coming over there. Now, being the father that he was, the message didn't even sound like him. So DJ was just pretty much like, I'm about to go over there and see what was up. So he went to Gail Gardens Apartments. And once he was there, he saw Tammy coming outside taking out some trash. And when she saw DJ, she ran in the house and locked the door behind her, which is weird, right? He used his own key to get in the apartment, and Tammy yelled out kind of like, David out walking. That's pretty weird. So on October 2nd, 2018, David Job will call and pretty much report that he had never been to work and he didn't end up working that triple shift. So the sister and the family would get the call. The sister and her husband went to his house to see what was up. David's car was there. Everything pretty much looked normal, but the door was unlocked. And David was known to be extremely security minded. So with this in mind, she called her father and Samia, which would be DJ mom, to accompany them. And together they went inside the apartment. So everything looked normal except when they went in David's bedroom, it was normally spotless, and now it looked like a crime scene. So it was a gunshot hole, and there was blood stains all on the mattress, and right beneath the bed on the carpet, it was more blood. And David was nowhere to be seen. So Tasia, the sister, she called Tammy and asked her, like, where's my brother at? This wasn't the first time she called her either. She called her a few times. And she said she had no clue. The family immediately reported him missing to Melvindale Police Department. Now, all of this was going on October 2nd, but on October 1st, which was the day before, a Department of Transportation worker had discovered a weird-looking sleeping bag along I-75 in Eagle Township, and the bags contained the lower torso and legs of a human being. And when the authorities identified David Carter, Tammy Williams was arrested. Now, despite 72 hours, the arrest and the hold just wasn't enough. It was hours of questioning, and they did not have enough to convict and charge her, so she was released. And when she was released, Tammy used that window to escape. So hours later, the police would obtain a warrant for first-degree murder, mutilation of a dead body, evidence tampering, and it was too late because she was gone. Now, she was last seen at the Neptune Hotel in Brooklyn, New York, where she spent one day, and she haven't been heard from or spotted since then. The police did confirm that David was shot below his left ear, exiting from the top of his head, and that was the fatal blow that took his life. Tammy made several large cash withdrawals, and she traveled by train from Ann Arbor to Chicago and from Chicago to New York. According to the investigators, Tammy Williams has contacts all over the world, and she has close connections to the Eastern Star, which is a co-ed fraternity and chapter of the Freemason community. Her mother, Verdine Day, was also accused of embezzling funds from the Detroit Fire Union, where she served as treasurer. They believe Tammy is receiving financial help, and she did help her. Anyone with information about Tammy Williams or her whereabouts are urged to contact the U.S. Marshals 24-hour tip line at 1-877-1-2. There is a cash reward that has now been raised to $25,000 for information about her whereabouts. And she is listed in the top 15 most wanted fugitives. So if anybody wants to look into this case or keep up with it or get a little bit more information, there you go.
Marked the 5-year anniversary of the gruesome murder of a Melvindale man. The woman accused of killing him is now one of the most wanted fugitives in the country. 7 Action News reporter Tiara Broddick spoke to the man's family tonight in a search for justice.
David Carter was last seen alive here at Harper Woods High School. He was attending a football game with his family. It's been 5 years since he was murdered. The woman suspected of killing him is his girlfriend, Tammy Williams. Police haven't been able to find her.
I just pray that, whoever is helping her, turn her in.
David Carter's father, Elton Carter, says details of his son's murder came flooding back this week after he saw Tammy Williams' name in the news again. Williams recently made the U.S. Marshals top 15 most wanted list.
I'm glad to see that they haven't given up, because it's been a long time since anybody has said anything about, her whereabouts or anything.
Back in 2018, Carter lived at the Gale Garden Apartments in Melvindale. Police believe that Williams shot Carter at his apartment, then scattered his body parts along I-75 highway near Findlay, Ohio. Williams disappeared shortly after Carter's body was found. Carter's sister, Tasia Carter Jackson, says she can't believe Williams hasn't been found yet.
Melvindale, where the crime happened, it's a very small community, so and everybody know everybody, so it's like very, very shocking that it's been this long.
Jackson says it's been hard not having her brother around.
He was very kind. He was an amazing dad, a business owner, hard worker.
Police last tracked Williams to Brooklyn, New York, after they say she took a train from Ann Arbor. That was in 2019. Williams still hasn't been found or heard from since. The U.S. Marshals are now offering up to $25,000 for information leading up to her arrest. The Carter family hopes someone will come forward soon.
To me, there's no such thing as closure, but right now I just want justice for him.
Tiara Braddock, 7 Action News.
All right, my Yarn and Tea crew, that wraps up today's 5 cold cases here in Michigan that I have for you guys. And of course, if you got some cases that you want to throw my way, please leave them in the comments or just feel free to swipe on over to the community section and drop it in there and we can have a little chat. As always, thank you for spending your time with me. I really, really appreciate y'all. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you do not miss a beat. And remember, this is for the yarn lovers and the tea sippers, baby. Stay cozy, stay curious, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next video.